Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys 5 minute figure reviews. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. In this video we're taking a look at the Avengers wave, the Puff Adder Avengers Build-A-Figure wave. Now with this one you obviously get a piece of Puff Adder as well. You can see you get his right arm there as well as an alternate hand. And of course we are taking a look at the orb. Now this is a really random one, and for a lot of people they just think that he's a guy with a big eyeball on his head, but that is not the case, and it was also a reason for his very cheesy looking costume. Now before I get into the details of who the orb is, let me just talk quickly about the actual figure. So the eyeball helmet, a little bit of a clue there, comes off very easily, just pops off, and then underneath it's pretty standard. It's a figure that we've seen quite a bit before. The detail on the eyeball is okay, but in the comic book this is pretty much what he looked like. What is really cool is the little collar piece that's attached to him is actually removable, so it's nice to see that little piece. That's definitely going to be used for other figures in the future, but it is nice. It adds a little bit of detail, makes the character a little bit more comic book accurate. But underneath it all, it is essentially this body type that we have seen so many times before on so many different figures, from standard figures to Captain America's to Cyclopses. They've all used this body type at one point. He's got the big kind of buccaneer gloves and the big kind of buccaneer boots, and of course a big belt around the middle as well. He comes with his big pistol as well, which is quite cool. Now, who is the Orb? Now, it's quite exciting actually. This is a Ghost Rider villain, believe it or not. The Orb was a motorcycle rider. He was a stunt motorcycle rider, the same as Johnny Blaze, but he was part of the travel. He owned half of the traveling show that Johnny Blaze later featured in. So he was one of the co-owners, and basically there was this big rivalry between him and the other owner. Can't remember who the other owner was. Oh, sorry, the Orb's name is Drake. Drake something. But yeah, Crash Simpson was the other one. So Drake and Crash Simpson were the two owners. Anyway, they were arguing over who was going to own the rights to the show, and they went on this massive long race, and it was this big race. And then Drake tried to cheat and kind of knock Crash off, and basically Crash was okay, but then Drake fell down and he kind of slid along on his face and just became horribly disfigured, and his face was horribly disfigured. So his costume is his stunt costume that he wore in the show. So why a great big eyeball on his head? Well, it's actually a helmet. It's a modified motorcycle helmet. So he was given this by somebody, and I can't remember who, but basically somebody approached him afterwards. It was one of those supernaturally groups. Oh, I can't remember. If you remember, put it in the comments. But it was one of them groups that kind of float around in the comics. And anyway, they approached him and they gave him this kind of modified eyeball helmet. I don't really know why. It's just they never really explained why he was given this big helmet, or why it looked like a massive eyeball. And later on in the comics, the eyeball then could shoot laser beams out of it. It was all very kind of 80s. I mean, the Drake and the Orb, he kind of came around in the early 70s, I think it was. So it's of that era where obviously a giant eyeball helmet that shoots lasers was pretty sci-fi and pretty cool. So for no particular reason, this horribly disfigured stunt motorcycle rider was given this eyeball helmet that shoots lasers. There you go. Do you need any more explanation than that? He fought with Ghost Rider throughout the comic books and kind of featured in various different bits here and there. But yeah, he's just a proper random one. Let's be perfectly honest with you. He's one of them characters that's just kind of from the vaults of Marvel, where it's like, yeah, let's make a figure of the guy with a massive eyeball head. Why not? So he's got a very Evel Knievel looking costume, and he's got that huge eyeball head. Now, I would have liked to have seen like a disfigured head that we could swap out. Maybe that would be pretty cool. But yeah, he basically went on to become a big criminal and just kind of featured. I think he was in Avengers as well, or X-Men, or Hawkeye, or something like that at some point. But he definitely kind of crossed paths with the Avengers, or at least Hawkeye at some point. But yeah, there we go. Motorcycle rider that tried to cheat in a race, horribly disfigured his face, and was then given a massive, super-powered, modified motorcycle helmet that looked like an eye. What more do you need to know? As a figure, it's okay. It's nothing special, but it's good to have on the shelf. So there we go. Please do like, share, subscribe, and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. I'll see you soon.